Welcome to the Mastering Business Skills podcast, where we interview successful small business owners who share their own journey, mastering the skills they needed to grow and be successful in their business. Learn the struggles, the wins, and all the things they learned along the way, so you can cut down on your own learning curve.
Welcome to Mastering Business Skills. Today we're talking to Thomas Howard, the Business Development Director for Brightway Advisors, a strategic financial operations management firm that covers everything from transactional accounting through financial controller level insights and leadership. His teams manage the numbers, do the math, and translate the information so that businesses can make the strategic decisions to help them grow and thrive. Welcome to the show, Thomas. We're so happy to have you on today.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me, Erin. I appreciate it.
Absolutely. So tell us a little bit about what you do and what inspired you to start this business.
So I came onto the business a few years ago. I was brought in by Earl Durham, who was a networking partner of mine. I was in a career of 21 years in banking. He was one of my networking relationships. And when he said he needed someone to help him with business development, I put on my networking hat and said, great, who can I introduce you to? Who's on your list? And he said, there's only one person on my list, you. It's like, oh. So he stole me away from a 21-year career in banking. I like to say I'm still in the same industry, though. So what we do is we are financial operations management. It's the next level above bookkeeping. The best way to think about us is that we're everything that a CFO or business owner needs to run the financial operations from the company and deliver insights into the reporting. So, that's why it says transactional accounting and bookkeeping all the way through financial controller level and everything in between. Fractional CFOs have been good networking partners for us because they take care of the strategy piece. They answer the questions that start with how. How do I raise capital? How do I break into a new market? How do I restructure debt? Those types of things. Our consulting answers the what's and the whys for them so that they can ask the question how. So what are the issues? Why are there issues? What should you do about it? So we fit in between that. We're also not tax accountants. CPAs are really good at tax accounting. It's a completely different beast than managerial accounting. So we know what lanes and what we're good in, and we partner with others that are experts in their fields so that a whole financial leadership picture can be made for our clients.
Awesome. So, Thomas, we talk about mastering business skills. What's the one skill that you've mastered that you can share with our audience now, and then they can either start to learn more about it or they can implement that business skill?
I would have to say that based on what other people tell me, networking. I think networking is an essential skill for a few different reasons. Number one, if you are in type of any business development role, or if you're a business owner, you need to get business. The best way to get that, especially in professional services, is to build out a network of people that know you, know what you're good at, and can confidently refer you. For a business like ours, it's absolutely essential. In the era of identity theft, no one is going to pick up a cold call and say, yes, I'll open up my sensitive financial information to you and see if you're a better deal. And if they did, probably wouldn't want them as a client.
Yeah.
But there's other benefits to learning that skill as well. At its core, networking teaches you how to be unselfish in building relationships. So that can help you if you're an HR person looking to develop a team. That can help you within your own company to help rise in the ranks and get mentoring and things of that nature, or become a mentor. And it's not just client acquisition. It teaches you some core skills on how to interact, relate with people, and most importantly, listen to what their needs are. So whether that's servicing a client, acquiring a new client, helping someone on your team, or looking to advance your career, or to build a better workplace culture, that all ties into that one skill.
So, yeah, networking is so important. It is. I agree.
And I think the most important piece is to learn that if you're transactional in your networking, you're not doing it right. People who are just starting to network, they're learning how to network, they haven't built a wide network, they're not going to be able to give you the referrals or the referral partner connections there that you may have that you've built up. Conversely, if you've been doing this for a while, like I have, you have hundreds, if not thousands, of connections that you can connect them to. So, of course, for every one person they have for you, you probably have 10 for them. If you gatekeep and say, I'm only going to do one-to-one, they're never going to get better at networking, and you're never going to build that trusted bond with them. That being said, one of the things that I've learned and gotten better at, and Erin's probably seen some of this progression over time, is that before I would identify everyone in my network that was good for somebody and send out a ton of introductions. And I've learned over time that not everyone has the capacity for that. So now I have a different process that I do where I say, hey, I've identified 20 people I can introduce you to. Here's a list. Let me know who you want me to start with and how many. And then once I've done those, let's get a follow-up meeting and see who next is on the list. Not only does that not overwhelm them, it gives you a great excuse to have another meeting, and people are appreciative of that. And I have had people say, well, I actually would like to meet all of them, so go ahead and make all 20 introductions, and that's fine too. Right. But, when, I'm in a strictly business development role for my firm, so I have a lot more bandwidth for networking than others. If someone sent me 20 introductions, I can handle that. But if someone is a solopreneur or running a small team, they're wearing many different hats, I can meet with 30 people in a week to do networking. They might be able to do 3. So if I send them 30 people, their head is going to explode.
Yes.
So I've learned that you need to be a little bit better at learning what people's capacities are and to be forgiving with that. But also don't let that be the end of the conversation. Yes, I introduced you to 3 people. Let's follow up and see who next and build out their network.
Right. That's great advice. That is.
Yeah, I have seen that over time too. And Thomas always makes amazing introductions. Like I meet people to Thomas all the time and actually some of them have probably been on our podcast or will be on our podcast because there's some great introductions and great people. So tell us a little bit about a little bit more on that, about how you learned the art of networking so well. And if it was something that came easy to you, or is it something that you really needed to put kind of practice into? Like, I know Sharon, when we talk networking, I'm a little more open to networking. Sharon, I think, cringes if you even talk about networking. So how did you get used to doing it and doing it so well because you are like one of my idols when it comes to all of the introductions and things, because I'm like, I know myself personally, I'm like, oh my gosh, I have to do these introductions, and and I have nowhere near the polish and grace that you have with that. So
First, it wasn't always that way. I think one of the things I tell people, I'm like, wow, you're so good at this. It's because I've made all of the mistakes and learned from them. My goal is never to not make mistakes. It's to not make the same mistake twice. And I think that's an important thing for people to realize, that you're as much guidance as people can give you, as much advice as that they can give you, you're never going to be perfect at it. And the nature of networking evolves over time. So what you're doing today might not work tomorrow. So what I tell people is have patience and forgive yourself, but do the best that you can. The first thing that you learn is that follow-up is key, right? Don't just take the business card, send a single email, and if they don't respond, let it go, right? Check in a couple of times. Your email might have gone to spam. The person might have gone out on vacation and didn't put their out of office reply on. Something must have happened to them. Don't keep pestering them all the time, right? You don't want to be an annoyance. But, if you email somebody and they don't respond in a week, send a quick check-in and then check in again in a month. And then if there's still no response, then you can move on. But don't discount the person. You could see them again at another event or come across them in some other way. The other thing that I tell people is that 90% of networking is listening. One of the things that I realized early on that helped me is that people are connected to each other in ways that they don't always comprehend, and that I had a certain skill to be able to see how these fit together, right? And early on in my networking career, when I would see those and not explain why, people were like, I have no idea why you sent me this person. This isn't my ideal networking partner, or they won't have referrals for me. So I started communicating that. As those connections were built and people were like, oh, I see that now, and I developed a strong reputation, I've had to do less of that. So it comes in stages and waves, right? And it took me years to get to the point that I am now. And as I said before, a couple of years ago, I still had the reputation of being a master connector, but there were still ways I could do it better, and I've progressed better over time. And the other thing I realized is that when you're trying to connect people to other people that can help them, whether it's because they're a natural referral partner, they're connected to other referral partners, they may have knowledge or services that can help their business, whatever the case may be, the vast majority of people out there are appreciative of that. And they want to return in kind. Again, as you grow your network and get better, you want to make sure you let them know not to get nervous if they don't have as many people or someone for you right away. If they're earlier on their networking journey, that's fine, but you want to make sure that they keep you top of mind. So you want to, it's developing the relationship. And I'm fortunately in a position now where I've gone from, I go to networking events to try and find clients, to coaching people on how to properly network.
Mm. Nice.
Awesome. Yeah. Networking for me has always been, I'm an introvert. So for me, it's always been tough. The part of listening, I have no problem with that. I think I'm a natural listener. It's just the other end of that I find difficult. So I think having that skill to be able to put those people together is phenomenal.
And one of the things that I've noticed about introverts that do networking and do it well is they tend to be great at the one-to-one setting.
Yeah.
Right? Because if you're in a networking event with 30 people in the room, that's draining your energy. But when you're connecting with someone one-to-one and you get to a comfort level, that can be energizing for you.
Right.
So, leverage people that realize that, leverage it, and it works really well for them. They are also able to communicate saying, I'm not good in large groups, or I do better face-to-face or one-to-one on Zoom with that. You can still build connections. And again, people that are deeply introverted, the people that they connect me to, they're much closer to, and they're much stronger connections. So, it's not always a numbers game of the sheer volume of people that if you have 1/10 the network that I have, but it's a deeper relationship, the quality of your introductions are going to be much higher. So don't discount yourself as an introvert from being able to network. Play to the strengths that brings you.
Yeah, that's great advice. That's great advice. So talking about advice, let's just say you had to give one piece of financial advice to someone who is maybe starting their business. What would that piece of advice be?
If you are not the one that's good at math, get that off your plate as soon as you can. Okay. So if you don't like doing bookkeeping or business finances and things of that nature, it's fine if you have to do it now because you can't afford it. Right. But make sure that, hey, when I actually have the money for it, you get that off your plate. The earlier you have good books, the earlier you can hire somebody that can actually analyze those and give you data on your business. And eventually you will get to the point where you're using your numbers to grow your business and your numbers are not managing you. So that's the piece of the financial advice. And that goes over to general business advice. Very early on, as you are wearing all of the hats, identify which ones you hate the most.
Oh,
Those are the first things you want to outsource when you have the funds to do it. And for
Yeah.
some people, that's not the financial operations. Sometimes that's HR. Sometimes that's business development. Find out what you're not good at and you hate doing. And those are the things you hire people for, whether that's outsourced or you hire someone internal.
That's great advice. My father was a CPA, and so from a very early age, I always had to help. He did the taxes for everyone at our church, and during that time, from a very early age, I remember having to help him, and now that was one of the first things that I wanted to outsource in my business was I hated doing it. It was, I mean, I
Right.
can
You
do
were
it.
probably good at it, but it's not something that
Yeah,
spoke to your
no,
passion. Right?
no, absolutely not. I mean, I can do it and I do my own taxes and everything every year, but do I like it? No. But yeah, so no, that's great. So I'm sure now success may look different to you, or you may think of success different than you did when you first started out. Is that
Mhm.
true? Has success for you changed over the years?
It has. Before it was always trying to get to that next level, that next career goal. And over time, especially when I became a dad, it's more about how do I integrate my work in my life so that I can be there for the people
Yeah,
that need me while still having a fulfilling career, while still having the finances to live the life I want to live. It's to me, it stopped being about how much more money I can make and how much of a better life can I build for me and my kids. Can I
right.
take care of, help take care of the finances of my family, but also the emotional well-being? Am I present? Am I able to take vacations with them and not be on my phone all of the time? Am I able to spend my weekends with them? Am I able to go to my kids' events, whether it be life events or after school activities and things of that nature? And I think that's a shift that I'm seeing a lot in Gen Z and millennials, is that it's not about the money anymore. Of course, if they're not able to, if they're in debt and they're struggling and things like that, of course, that's a driving factor because it's a stressor. But their main goal isn't to get rich, it's to have a fulfilling life. And, one of my networking connections, his name is Tom Libby, actually put it perfectly is that, once you reach a certain level of salary, it becomes less about acquiring more in terms of money and more about the type of life you want to live.
Yes.
And that's not true for everybody, but I think that's becoming more true for folks over time. And that's definitely the case with me. I don't want to be a millionaire. If it happens, great, but that's not my goal. My
Right.
goal is to make sure my kids have a fulfilling life and spending time with them. My friends can count on me, and that I'm financially stable and that the work that I'm doing is work that I love to do.
Yeah, I agree, 100%.
Yeah. I was like, I can relate to that because I think that
Yeah.
was similar for me. Was there was always that push to, be a $1 million business and have a big team and take on more and more and more. And when I decided to go outside that box of society's norms, so to speak, for business owners,
Right.
was when, I realized like, no, I don't want the $1 million mansion and everything else. I want to live comfortably. I want time with my family and my grandkids and, money so that I can like keep things going, have my large gardens, have my animals, like all of the things that I want to do versus constantly pushing for more and more and more of what I don't want.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah. So I have a fun question for you now.
Sure.
So I understand that you're into historical martial arts, stage combat, and fire performances. So tell us a little bit about Phoenix Swords and your experience with them, and how did you even get into that area, and how has it shaped you both personally and in your career?
Sure. So Phoenix Swords started about 23 years ago, and I've been a part of it for 22 of those years. I For a number of years prior, I had loved performing, and I was actually helping a friend who had a haunted house in Salem, Massachusetts, and his fiance was one of the founding members. So that's how I met Phoenix Swords. What we do is three areas. The first is that we study manuals that were written between the 1300s and 1700s in Europe, Western Europe. There was a strong martial tradition then that died out, mostly because of the gun, but they did record how people would fight, or at least how they were trained to fight. So we take those manuals that have been translated to English because our medieval German and Latin are very bad, and we try to replicate what the instructions are saying. Can I tell you with 100% confidence that what we show is exactly what they're trying to teach? No, because it's a dead art form. There's no living masters, and we're trying to reconstruct it. And our assumptions that we fill in the gaps could be wrong. It's always subject to interpretation, but we do the best we can. And so we put on, one of the shows we put on is a historical combat demonstration where we take different weapons, swords, pole arms, daggers, sickles, scythes, and demonstrate some of the techniques that we've learned through that. The second part is the stage combat. So one of the ways that you want to revise a dead martial art is through entertainment, right? So we use the techniques that we've read in these manuals to better inform our stage combat. Is our stage combat an actual historical representation? No, because historically sword fights were very short. 2 or 3 moves and one person walked away dead. And that doesn't, what makes a very effective martial technique does not always make in a very effective show. But the types of techniques, the way that they cut, the way that they countered, the way that they defended, are what we try to work into the stage combat with some other flashing moves to boot. But it's to show that you can have a better historical representation in entertainment from written records that was there. And so we do entertaining stage combat heavy shows for our audiences. And then 22 years ago, somebody said, hey, in one of those stage combat fights, wouldn't it be cool if we had a fire sword fight? And so we built out an entire fire show, and I am a 22-year veteran fire performer. So I eat fire, I breathe fire, I light my head and hands on fire. Nothing gets people to a show faster than saying, come watch us light the bald man's head on fire. And I also do fire swords, fire whips, fire fans, and fire sticks. We have other people that also do fire meteor, fire poi, a couple different versions of fire staff, fire devil stick juggling, and more. So we have a very well-rounded show. In terms of how this has helped me with my career, I don't have those dreams where I wake up in the middle of the night having been in my underwear in front of a large crowd. I'm used to be in front of people, and I don't get nervous with public speaking. I think any type of performance will gear you for that. The other part is that you train for safety with fire. So you learn how to follow processes and operations, and how small things that you do can have a positive and negative impact when an issue arises. And one of the things that you learn in performing with fire is the worst thing you can do is panic. The hardest thing is to quiet your monkey brain, stand still, and wait for your safety team. Because the worst thing you can be is a moving target for them. And if you run around on fire, chances are you're going to set other people on fire, and they are not forgiving about that. So, you want to make sure that, you do everything you can to be safe, with a focus on the audience first and your performers second. And then if something does go wrong, you follow the process and procedure, and you practice that over and over again so that it becomes second nature. It's that controlling of the panic response that I think has really helped me both personally and professionally. I'm someone that has mental illness. I suffer from clinical depression, and part of that is an anxiety and panic disorder. And being able to control my actions when those come on, whether it's brought about by my mental illness or about a very stressful situation, means I'm good under pressure and I'm good when things go wrong. A perfect example of that happened last night. I got rear-ended on the road. The girl who hit me was not an adult. She was barely, I don't even think she was 17. She was born in 2008, not sure what month. And she was panicking. And when you panic, bad things happen. And, we're in the middle of the road. So I was able to calmly get out, calm her down, letting her know, listen, obviously I'm not happy I got hit, but I'm not mad. These things happen. Let's calm down, go through the steps. I walked her through what we needed to do, had her take pictures of my car so that she was protected as well as me, so that someone wasn't taking advantage of her, and walked her through the process. She was terrified her dad was going to be furious with her. I explained to her, as a father myself, your dad is probably very nervous right now, and when he sees you're okay, things will be better. He may not be happy that you hit somebody with the car, but his foremost concern right now is that you're okay. And I very quickly told her, I said, it sucks when accidents happen, but you're not hurt. I'm not hurt. Police are here. Everybody's safe. As far as accidents go, we can't really ask for anything much better. So I said, you can learn from this. I can learn from this, but don't worry about it. And here's some things that you want to make sure you do them, because you will get into an accident again. It does happen. Here are the things that you want to do to protect yourself and things like that, and try to turn it to a teaching moment. So being able to do that for people is a skill that I built, and I don't think I would have that skill if it wasn't for the fire performing and the training that you go through in order to be able to do that.
I like that. Yeah, that is definitely a skill, to be able to stay calm and deal with whatever is happening while everybody else around you is, panicking and
And that's the thing is doesn't mean I wasn't nervous or panicking, but I controlled my again, I always tell people, don't fight the emotion. If you feel fear, if you feel panic, let it flow through you, but you can learn to control how you react. And if you're visibly panicking, if you're visibly upset, it's not going to help the situation. So you want to make sure that you try and stay calm, and you project rationality. And if you project rationality, you'll be more likely to make rational decisions when you're in a crisis. So again, it's one of those things that it really helps. And, when I make mistakes, I don't panic about it and I don't let it get to me. I just work on what the solution is. And that's what you do in fire performing. And that can help you for the rest of your life. But remember, kids, don't try this at home. Do it at school, you get a better audience.
Exactly.
Yeah, so that's a great skill. So what's the next skill that you plan to master, and why that skill? Could be business or personal skill.
One of the things that still gives me agita is conflict. And I always tend to try to avoid conflict, and that is not always the proper course. So what I think I need to get better at and a skill that I'm trying to develop is how to manage conflict and to be assertive of what your needs are in the conflict without being aggressive. But also not being timid either. And I think I tend to go more to the timid range than the aggressive range. I tend to compromise too much of my needs to try and help the other person. And I think that, that's something that I've been working on over the last few years, and something that I still need to improve on, and will take me years before I would say, I'm actually not bad at it now. But if I had to pick something that I would want to work on, it's that.
That's great. I think that working on the conflict skill, I think that is something, I don't think that's something we ever actually fully achieve. I think we're always going to be working on that because I'm the same way. I tend to be more on the giving and the other end of it. I'm not aggressive by any means, usually, in a conflict, but I try to avoid conflict at all costs too. But that's something I constantly work on.
Yeah, and that's the thing is conflict doesn't have to be violent.
Right.
Conflict doesn't have to be aggressive. It just means that two persons' views don't align
Right.
and their needs are clashing with each other. And you want to come to a resolution, but you don't, if you're constantly sacrificing your needs, you're just opening yourself up to more conflict later down the line. So you
Absolutely.
want to make sure that, again, when I say conflict, it's not like military. I'm going to hurt you. You're
Right.
going to hurt me. Right.
Right.
It's I see things differently than you. I have different expectations than you. Um, I've done something that has upset you in some way, or you've done something to upset me in some way. It's not, and there's not, that's the other thing too, that I think that I've learned about conflict is that you can have conflict and both people can be right and both people cannot be at fault.
Right.
Mm,
That's true. Very true.
yeah. So what's next for your business?
So we used to be a supporting strategies franchise and we broke off and started our own firm. Nothing against supporting strategies, have been a great partner. We would not be able to launch Brightway Advisors had we not been a franchise for the last 10 years, and we're greatly appreciative of that. But there are some things we want to do that were very difficult under the franchise model. One of those is that it's not just financial operations that businesses need and that they dread doing. It's a whole suite of back office functions that are essential for a growing business, but not something the business owner enjoys doing. We've identified that those areas tend to be HR, IT, and general business operations. So our hope is to build out a whole suite of back office services, but to not bring those people in internally. Instead, we've done a lot of networking. We have a lot of people that are great networking partners in all of those areas. We want to be able to bring them in under white label agreements. Under a franchise model, it's very difficult to do that when you have to pay the franchisor 10% of the gross revenues that you're collecting on their behalf. But what we've noticed and what my research, and again, it's not in depth, I'm still asking questions, is that when someone has a white label option and they have a good relationship with their client for what they're currently doing, it's much easier to bring that person in. So it's going to facilitate us bringing people into our network much easier. And we're going to do it in a way where both parties are have a lot of freedom and that it's rewarding financially for all involved. We're still going through the process of learning what that looks like, what expectations should be. And thankfully, a number of our networking partners do offer and have been white labeling others. So we have a good network of people to draw on to get their experience on what's worked, what mistakes have they made, what did they learn from that, as we look to build that out. Another section that we're looking to do, possibly, and we're not 100% committed to this yet, but there's an opportunity to white label fractional CFOs in our network. We have some amazing fractional CFOs that we network with. Chris Thomas from Blue Oak Consulting, Heather Johnston's firm Maximus Partners, Hunter Bergenstein, there, and many, many more. And we would love to be able to bring them in on the white label service and advertise that we have fractional CFO services, and we can bring people in on a white label or at least in a referral partnership so that people know that they're a trusted provider of what we do. But we need to go to our fractional CFO network and see how open are they to being white labeled. And if so, again, what's fair for them and what's fair for us. A couple of them come back to us and said, well, what about us white labeling you? So we're looking into that as well. And what, how much of our revenue should be given to them? Should it be a referral fee? Should it be a share of ongoing revenue? what does that look like? We don't know because we don't have experience there. So we're doing the research to find out. In the meantime, we're still happy to refer these people into our clients. We're still happy to partner with them. The whole goal, though, is to try and make it easier for us to bring these people in when we see the need, reduce that sales process time, and get clients in a better place on both sides much faster.
Oh, I love that. Yeah. Especially because I feel like in the areas that we all work in, it's so easy to refer to each other because you see all the moving pieces and you see what the companies that you're working for or with are missing. And where that can be filled for them if they have the right person. So
Yep. But I think my main goal to show that is that that's why we left the Sporting Strategies franchise. It had nothing to do with them, but we felt so strongly in that vision of being core of who we are. It's not something that's easy to do under a franchise agreement where the franchisor is a much bigger company and they want their brand front and center. So they don't want you to be white labeled and because they don't want to have white label agreements do an end round from the revenue that should be collecting 10%. They have to enforce areas of their contract. And we understood that, right? But that's why we left. It wasn't because they weren't a great partner. It's not because Supporting Strategies doesn't offer great services. It's not even because they didn't offer value. It's just because we decided we needed to go off in a bit of a different direction. And we left on very amicable terms. And I have to say, they were extremely helpful through the transition as well. So I can't go into details about what that looked like because I don't have them. Managing director was under an NDA, and I can only tell you what our perspective on our side was. But what I do know is that an agreement was reached. I'm assuming it was amicable because of how supportive Supporting Strategies was of us. And we still have Supporting Strategies franchise owners that we're still connected with and value those relationships.
that's great. That's great.
That is
When it works out, when you do branch off from somebody that you're already with, to go in a different direction, and it works out, and you can still stay friendly, stay, in touch, and all of that.
And whether they realize it or not, I probably will have referrals for other Supporting Strategies franchises over time, because with this new service, our ideal client profile is probably going to evolve and change and will be different from a Supporting Strategies client profile. And when we have someone that doesn't align with us, we have trusted partners now at Supporting Strategies that we can send people to.
That's awesome. Yeah.
Great. Well, Thomas, thank you so much for spending time with us today and talking to us. And I am going to have in your show notes, we will have a link to your website and your LinkedIn. If there's anything else you want us to add, just shoot it on over and we'll add it in. And for anybody watching today or listening in, we appreciate you and we hope you are here for the next episode. Thank you.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.